And 10,
Yeah, was it that much? Wow.
Yeah,
We
it
were,
was.
mine were two
Yeah.
of those.
I was surprised that my garage, which isn't heated, still stayed like 17 degrees.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So I'm like,
It
it's not insulated
gets
either,
the
but,
heat from the house.
and I guess it's the ground, because the slab,
And
the
the
ground
ground.
is what, 40 degrees and the
42
slab
degrees,
goes up.
42 degrees, yeah,
Yeah.
that's part of it, but also it must be adjacent to your house, so,
Yeah, although the house is pretty well insulated, but it's,
but probably not
Yeah.
next to the garage. It's not.
no, because they had to put an extra layer for fire.
So that is.
So I got like drywall on both sides, plus with this much insulation in between.
So
Yeah,
my
that's good.
garage has been just below freezing last night, and then there's a greenhouse on the outside of that, which is way down again, because we're not heating it this winter, but. I know the kitchen gives heat to the garage.
Yep.
Oh, and the plants in the high tunnels did not die last night.
Wow,
Yay.
wow.
Underneath the blankets.
One blanket, two blankets?
Just carpets.
That's fantastic.
That's outdoors.
just
That's very
fantastic.
They're under, plastic tunnels, the greenhouses.
Yeah, that's very
But
good
then
news.
There's blankets.
Yeah, we put blankets on top.
Yeah, yeah.
Some sort of woven polyester.
So that probably helps keep the warmth of the ground too, right?
Well, absolutely. They're two layers. You can do 2 or 3 layers to keep them, but
Yeah.
they're doing, that's fantastic.
So
Because we
it's
count
like-
on your vegetables. That's,
But
that's
it worked out, so
That's really
it's
wonderful.
super cool. Yeah.
So Jackie's not coming, I
Right.
just saw.
Yeah, Jackie, yeah.
I haven't heard anything from Victoria, but I'll just text her a quick reminder. She was coming.
We're having a science, technology, STEM night at the high school,
Mhm.
the Thursday a week. And one of the things that I'm doing from the Energy Committee is working with a student and the community pathways coordinator to do energy tours of the building. We've done them, it's a model green building, so we're gonna be offering that to the public on January
Oh, really?
29th, I think it is, that's
She was, yeah,
Thursday.
she was,
4:30 to 7.
Yeah.
There's not about in the paper. So this is, because the kids don't realize what an unusual building they're in. It's affordable, it's to operate, it's burning very little fossil fuels just to heat water for the kitchen and probably the bathroom. And it's all run on geothermal from underground and solar provides half the electricity in the building
Mhm.
without even, and just on level solar collectors up there. So that's exciting because they'll have parents there looking at STEM programs for their kids and they can do tours and see where their tax dollars went and how initial big investment. Of course, I don't know, I just can't remember what it was. I came on the school board just after that
A lot.
had been built. It must have been huge. It
Oh,
must have been chunky.
geothermal is super expensive. I mean, it's great.
And the way that,
But
yeah, they have 50 wells.
Yeah.
Down in there.
every one of them,
and-
each foot costs $12.
And I said, why do you have to go so deep? I know it's, the same temperature down 15 feet, but they took them all, it says it's just as easy to make 50 feet as 15 feet, but you're telling me that the cost, of course. it's
Well, it does
huge.
cost, but
Yeah.
Well, if they don't do, if they
You
don't,
have
if they
certain
don't
number
do
of linear
50
feet.
feet on each well, they gotta drill 10 twice the number of, or 10
That's
times the
true.
number of wells.
That's exactly why they
Doesn't-
did it.
It
Yeah.
doesn't make any
500
difference
wells.
Yeah.
whether they drill
You-
big ones or short
Because
ones.
they need a certain amount of water.
And
Yeah, they need a certain
certain
amount of
amount of
ground
linear
Yeah.
foot of exchange.
Yeah,
Hmm.
exactly.
Because it is a huge building, but I'm excited to be able to share the success of that building with the parents and the kids and to get the energy dashboard working again, so that the kids on their phone, they're gonna be able to go up there and say, oh, they can get more information about the weather and how it's affecting the solar collectors or.
It's a testament that you can walk into the building, and you never think that it's anything but just a regular old building, right?
It's that
Because
comfortable.
it functions that
Yes, it's very comfortable,
elegantly,
but it's, yeah,
but it's pretty high tech.
All right, shall we get going?
Sure, why
People
not?
coming in person.
Yeah.
I didn't put together an agenda, but it seems like maybe we could go around and maybe kind of summarize like some of the edits we gave to you, and if there's some things that you remember that we didn't remember saying.
Well, I'll just start off. so I had a conversation with Yvette on Friday, and she shared with me that you guys were not happy with the climate, report, put together. So I've been getting, comments from people, your edits were great, and I just wanna say, like, it's a first draft, very happy to incorporate, edits, and however you guys wanna do is completely fine. But I guess one thing I would like to have a meeting on the minds about is how much, like, for the audience, where I was coming from was that it was going out to the public, casual readers, in my experience, it needs to be short, it needs to be a high school reading level, it needs to be catchy. And so the level of information in it was geared towards that. And the idea was then when there's more data, more information that you want to go in, those go into appendices and we can, refer to them. Some of the comments I got back, I think, make me think that's not the approach that you guys want to take. So first of all, I'd be curious, kind of about that, and whether it's something that the committee feels like they would like to take back and do.
I have a general reaction, is that, I'm Mr. Public, I pick up the plan. If, I don't know if I'm typical or not, I'm gonna skip everything until the actions. And then I'm gonna go back and read the rest of it, to support that.
Yeah.
The interest in the plan is that it's a plan and that it, that it shows specific actions that are gonna make my life, in the future and my kids' lives in the future more secure and, better and blah, blah, blah. So when I read the plan, that's actually what I did, because that's the kind of guy I am, I want to know what we're gonna do, right? So I went there and I was like, we're not gonna do much. And then I went back, and I'm like, yeah, okay, I'm not gonna quibble with like small stuff in there because I think it does do a good job of giving people the sense of where we're at. Here's what transportation is, the graphs and stuff and the descriptions are very readable to me. I'm not a very good proofreader, so I leave that to other people, but anyway, that's just my sort of general reaction to it. So I was kind of satisfied with the first part, but not with the action part.
Yeah. And then.
I see what you were doing, and I think it's good at being able to go through the first part and see how what the process was, and then sort of our general findings, just which is good. And please look at the, appendices if you want more detail, kind of thing is great. I agree. I don't think you want a lot of detail in the basic document. But let's see, what was it I was going? Yeah, I think there are some editing changes that other people have mentioned that I think are useful. And I agree with Nick, basically. I got down to the priorities, actions, or whatever, and it was like, whoa, wait a second. We're missing a ton of here. So we're not really going to accomplish much if we follow this. So that was my thought. Again, we need stronger actions. And it's I suspect this will be another 10-year plan. So it's not like this stuff's going to be done tomorrow, but we need, stuff laid out that's, going to carry us through. We don't want to have to go through a process again and in 3 years or whatever. So let's make it work for the long term.
Yeah.
Anyway, and think there was another comment, you probably already gotten it from a couple of other people, which is that we need some targets. It's nice to say, we'll consider doing this or something, but we need some goals, you
Yeah.
know. Otherwise, it's, you know, kind of like, okay, you know. So anyway, those are my comments. And, you know, I have much more I've added a bunch to the matrix, so, or not, you know, not added, but put in comments and stuff like that in the matrix, so. There's only a few items that I picked up from the old 2012 plan that are still relevant. And they're, you know, ongoing stuff, so we should keep in the plan, I think, rather than abandon them, so.
And have you highlighted those somewhere? I don't have the plan in front of me to
I
look at.
put in the notes what came from the old plan.
Yes.
Most
okay,
of them
on the
were
right-hand
already
side.
in the new plan, were already in this matrix,
Okay,
but there are a
okay,
few that I add, there were 2 or 3 I added, and I put them in green, but green's gone.
Oh,
That's okay.
right,
Some stuff,
right.
Yvette did some
Yeah.
consolidation and stuff, so that's fine. It's still clear which ones are from the 2012 plan, so.
Okay. I sent you a list of sort of more editing type of things,
Mhm.
and I'm sure you thought about it or incorporated it. My head is full of the changes that I had to put in to the prioritizing the public input into these list of actions. So I don't have the whole plan in my mind. I can't comment on it right now.
Yeah,
but-
no
but-
worries.
Okay,
Yeah.
but I had put details to you.
Yep.
Privately.
Some things that I thought we could improve upon was the section on like what the town has already done.
Yeah,
Like, we've done a lot of things, and I
Yeah.
think that we should be promoting that.
yeah,
So I kind of like, you know, wanted that also, like, not just like described in here a little bit more, because you did start to do that, but there are a lot of more things in there. And then, I even brought those into the new matrix as well. They're ongoing. I mean, we're doing so much stuff. Why aren't we giving ourselves credit for that?
yeah,
You know,
Yeah.
that's how I see it, as like
Sure.
this
Yeah.
plan didn't really give enough credit to what this committee has been doing as well. So, you know, some of this, you asked me for information about like how much public outreach and, you know, engagement. And I went back through all the notes to go find out how many times we went to the, you know, transfer station to bed and get this out to people. So I was a little bit like, okay, you asked me for that, but I didn't see that it, you know, made its way in there.
Yeah, what, you'll have to send it to me again, because I didn't think it was specific enough.
I don't know, you asked me to elaborate, like,
Anyway,
you
right,
asked me
right.
for that
Yeah, I asked you
information,
for
I was like,
information.
yeah, so I
If
was
I-
like.
I would.
We've
happy
done a
to
lot of
incorporate it.
effort to get the public involved, and I think that's really
We did.
important to let folks know.
Yeah.
So that was like a point.
Yeah,
I spent a lot of time going to the low-income senior housing places and trying to get people to come.
so a
to the
list
meetings.
of those places
Ah.
that you went would be really helpful
right,
for me to
okay,
incorporate
okay.
into that. I'm
Yeah,
happy to.
like one of the other smaller trailer parks that I went to, for example,
Yeah.
just low-income seniors, mostly men, women.
And if you
Um,
could kind of coordinate one list together and then
Ah.
give that to me, that would be very helpful.
Okay,
The survey just really didn't have much about the survey. We asked some questions that I think should have informed it more, like, should we have a climate action goal? What should it be? Victor made a bunch of graphs based off that information, if you wanted to go through which ones might make sense to present.
Yeah, no worries.
And then lastly, like, I just didn't feel the passion for it. The passion for taking action, the passion for, you know, why we should be doing this, which was really, I kind of cut and pasted this bit here from the last climate action plan. And put it in there in my notes, so it's not lost in there, but it just felt like the statement of, we're recognizing that there's a problem, we need to do something to prepare for it, you know. I know that we don't have a lot of specific targets, but if we're saying we have to have something, I mean, we've asked people what those should be, and we should kind of be explaining what the point of all of this is to,
Yeah.
yes, we're not saying, hey, 1,500 heat pumps is gonna reduce this and that. I mean, I have seen that some of these ICLEI studies are telling folks that, at least like when I looked at the Biddeford one.
Yeah,
Cause I looked at cause you had mentioned that you're looking at Biddeford and Bath, or Bath and Scarborough or something like that, and I've gone back to look at those plans and I'm like, ooh, this doesn't seem like it's like that. But I know you didn't do the matrix part, but, you know, I've been looking at some of those and, you know, was a
Yeah.
little more inspired on the list.
yeah, okay.
So, that's all.
So that's great, and it's really, I'm happy to, you know, with the first draft, happy to take another crack at it. I just would like to clarify though, that the actions were in FB's scope of work and went through a process, with y'all. And so they were, you know, can kind of incorporate, so whatever actions you wanna put in there, like, we will put them in, I can add more, you know, ardent language and stuff like that about, you know, to put context around it for the document. So, and any,
Let me just jump in, because
Yeah.
that could be helpful,
Yeah.
because I know there was some angst that Sky and I had input in the actions. My vision of a plan for the town is one that can get broad support. I think if it's something that you can't get at least 50% of the people to support, you end up dividing the town and you accomplish nothing. So, and you know from prior discussions with us that, or Derek, or our view of the best actions are ones that can get things, you know, can we get an electric tool that works better than our current ones? The fire department, as you heard, they love their electric power tools that they can use to pry open cars at accidents and things. They don't have to deal with the headaches of gas. So it's win-win. It's a better tool and it happens to be electric. If we had a plow truck or a police cruiser that was the same thing, we would embrace that. You know, again, we also take costs into account, but if we can find things where everything converges, you can get unanimous support or close to unanimous. That's the type of stuff that I think we should have in the plan, is things where we can get broad community consensus. Ultimately, it's your matrix, it's not mine. So if you don't like what Sky and I did and you want to go with yours, feel free. I just want to go on record as saying, I suspect that if you went with the version I saw today from Sky, it may well not even get put on the warrant by the select board. So you might have to go and collect the signatures of the 10% of the voters in the last gubernatorial election, about 560 signatures to get it on the warrant. And then if it gets there, it may not pass. The reason why is there's too many shalls. You know, the first one, they're talking about
Without
EVs.
shells, it's not really a plan. So I mean, I will take task with the select board if they complain about shells. Because damn it, you know, if we all have is, oh, we will consider this or do that, nothing gets done around here. So we have to have
Maybe
shells.
nothing should get done. I mean, do we want to? Our
What do you
EV,
mean nothing should get
Our
done?
EVs at the state right now, that we want to tell the poor person that's barely able to pay their rent that they have to buy an EV.
Nobody's
that-
saying you have to buy an EV.
Oh.
That's not
The first thing, accelerate the transition to EVs.
that doesn't mean you have to buy it. It
Either
means-
express or implied. It means the town isn't telling people they need to switch to EVs.
But Mark, this town is not poor. Most of
Oh.
the people in this town are wealthy.
Wrong.
Yes, they are. Look at the demographic.
Look at our
information.
working class that can't afford to live here. The people that are working at Crookers. they're looking at-
I'm talking
can't
about the
afford-
residents who live here.
Other
Not the
than the
people who
trailer
can't live
parks,
here.
you're right, we are.
Do we
wealthy-
want to be
we are
only a wealthy town? Or do we want to be able to have the people that work in Topsham live here too?
I want the
This
both.
is not gonna
But we're
make
not
it
talking
more
about-
expensive.
Oh, absolutely will.
It's gonna make it cheaper.
We're not talking
if we
about
have less
requiring-
It says in here, every house that's built has to be ready for EVs and solar panels. That adds to the cost of construction.
I don't think that's
Well, that was,
in there.
Yeah,
that was
it
something
does.
we're considering,
It
but
does.
that's definitely not,
You know, it says in here, we have to have public transportation.
that's
Well,
actually.
Sharing.
That
for the
actually is gonna
poor
help the people who
That's-
who can't afford to live here,
You-
because then they won't have to buy two cars.
We're not dense enough to have public
We
transportation.
We are.
We're gonna pay a bunch
Bath.
of money to have buses and things that no one's gonna ride.
Bath has roughly the same population we do. and they have public transportation.
And
That
it's
is much more
regularly.
compact than
It's
Topsham.
used regularly.
Most of our people live in the downtown area.
I'd like to make
We don't
another
need
point
public
about
transportation
pub-
all over
public-
town.
public transportation. We have a population of about 20% or 19% right now that's elderly, 65 and older. If you project forward the people that are living here 10 years, it's gonna be 25% of the population. These are the people that when they get into their older years should not be driving. And they are gonna be the ones that are gonna be using the public transportation, other than the Highlands folks that have their own. So
They
this
put
is,
in there,
this is who,
investigate it,
this-
or if
yeah.
it's financially feasible, or, here's what we're looking at is.
Evaluate the purchase or lease of electric vehicles for municipal owned.
Yeah,
vehicles
I don't
during
have
the
it-
procurement
I don't have an
process.
issue with that, that's
Okay, well,
fine,
why are
we already do it, what I have is this, the title, accelerate the transition to
Yeah, but
EVs.
look,
just
look
the
at
title.
the action, look at the
That's
actions.
not an action. That's
There's
just
It
a-
implies that the
There's
town
no-
of Topsham is insisting
No, there's
people switch to
nothing.
EVs.
It is
Read-
not.
No, it doesn't.
It's a
It doesn't.
category, that is not an action. The things in white are action.
I guess I disagree with the title of it as a category then, because it implies that it's the town's goal to get everyone to switch to EVs.
No, it doesn't.
Mark, acceleration. You're going 1 mile an hour. If you accelerate to 2 miles an hour, you have accelerated. It does not imply that everybody has to have an EV. It implies that we move in that direction.
I guess we'll,
We could- you
could-
we'll agree to disagree on.
You
what-
could call
what
it,
means.
remove the barriers to electric vehicles as the title of that set of actions, and maybe that would get rid of your worry. We can do that, we can change
I mean,
that.
why, fuel
We-
cells,
there
may,
are-
within the next 2 years, may decide that that's a much better solution. So why do we want to lock in the EV?
We have to,
EVs are, fuel cells are EVs. There's no difference. It doesn't matter, that doesn't say battery electric vehicles, it means electric vehicles. That
I'm
could,
talking like hydrogen fuel cells.
yes, and that means it's electric vehicle still. It's run by hydrogen, not necessarily a battery, but it's still an EV, it's still called an EV.
What if you change it to alternatives to gasoline or something? But anyway,
Well,
ultimately, it's your plan. I'm just warning you
Okay.
that if you get too far out there, it may either A, have issues getting on the warrant, or B, it won't pass.
I think it's really important that we say that, and Meg says in the language that what we're doing here is trying to prepare the town to be more resilient for the climate changes that we have already experiencing, so that we will have less impact on our electricity, on our roads, on our access to public services. So,
And I think if we
yeah.
focus on the resilience part, then yes, we can get a broad, like, for instance, we have this culvert that we're trying to do in Tedford Road.
yeah,
And
Yeah.
unfortunately, the cost of the thing is doubled,
Ah.
because of the way. So there's
Yeah.
only so much town money to go around. We've
That's
also,
right.
we're in I think of the brink of a tax revolt. There's,
Mm.
Scott Searway and Joe Baldalchi have put in a constitutional amendment in the legislature to cap anyone who's over 65's taxes at only 2% a year. So,
2% increase, 2%.
yeah, so it's kind of a different version of the senior tax stabilization. But what that means is more and more burden gets shifted to everyone that isn't 65. And it makes it that much more expensive to be here. So, people realize we need to do stuff to protect Pleasant Point Road from climate change.
Yes, indeed.
People realize we
That's
need
in
to
our
do,
plan.
yeah, need to do stuff about the rising water levels.
Yes.
That stuff I think would pass.
Yes.
But I think the insisting that we switch out all the systems in the next few years for these buildings, as they come up that they need to be done, and we look at all the options, could well be. There's a better option or a different one,
Mhm.
but we can't just come up with hundreds of thousands of dollars to all of a sudden switch stuff if it's not ready yet.
Yeah.
Because we've got a lot of unhappy people about their taxes.
Well,
And
everything that this committee's
we-
done is come from the state. That hasn't cost the town anything.
What we're actually asking for is that, especially with something like heat pumps in this building, is to look at them and evaluate, even if you update it today, even if you have to finance the cost of the update, does it save you enough money in the next few years that it's worth it? It basically comes out to net benefit. And in most cases, these kind of energy updates do that. So, but the thing is, if you don't look at it, if you just look at the initial cost, of course, it doesn't make a whole lot of sense to do that, even if the current system's running.
Victor, we would look at the whole cost. We wouldn't just look at the initial, but we still gotta. For instance, it could well be if we switched all our stuff to heat pumps, not only are we gonna need to do the actual units. We need to upgrade our electrical system because it
Ah.
isn't built on to take that. We just bought a new standby generator for emergency things here. We'd have to do a different generator, because that one won't have the capacity to run the heat pumps. Which I know is true, because it barely has the capacity to run the elevator when everything else is wrong. So
Well, but and again,
evaluating stuff is great, but insisting we do stuff by a certain year, especially if it's not ready to be done.
but we have to,
There's
I mean,
nothing on here that says we have to do something by a certain year.
Yeah, there is. Where's the stuff?
Where is it?
yeah, I mean,
Where's the stuff on this bill?
There's short, medium, and long term.
Ongoing.
There's stuff on this bill, the town buildings, that says to switch out to heat pumps.
Modernize Main.
Upgrade to efficient, no, this is the apply, upgrade to energy efficient internal lighting, which we've pretty much already done. These are already.
I wonder-
I don't think so. I know that rec is not doing it.
What do you mean rec?
I was told that,
Rec department building.
yeah,
I mean, they're in
Kim
this
took out
building.
her.
There is no rec department building.
Her stuff in the public works building.
Well, I bet the.
There
public-
is no rec department. Rec
Maybe
department's an office in this
With the
building.
public works, how is it heated? Is it an oil furnace or, and I know they have a lot of leaking
think
doors that they open up a lot.
It's either natural gas or oil. I'm not sure
Yeah.
which.
There are things you can do to improve the door too, so that not so much is lost when they come take buildings in and out. That would be a good step. It would save money.
No, I have no issues with considering or, evaluating or something. But to say that we will do it to our buildings creates, this becomes something to be, I get judged by. And it says, hey, the plan said town manager is supposed to do this, what have you done to it?
Mhm.
And so I haven't actually done it, then, I mean,
Mhm. Yeah, it has, the priorities have to be made so that it can be budgeted year after year and these improvements made. But, and a lot, but the energy efficient interior lighting makes a lot of sense. We've already done
again,
that.
I think we've done it. All these
Yeah, but
buildings,
when
these
you
all
build
been
a new
switched out
community
there.
Center, like, there's
Except-
so, all the way to the right is just like other opportunities that are gonna come up, and that's why these things should be ongoing and captured in here. And then also, this entire document with these special headers has been vetted twice now. Jeff actually submitted this exact same paperwork to renew, so you guys could go get the bike ped grant. We've already done this here as the Energy Committee in 2022. This is all stuff blessed by the select board and town management to stay in this program, so these aren't new and.
So if we're already
worrisome
doing the bike
things.
ped stuff, why is it coming in here too? I
I'm
mean, we're-
just, yeah, so what I did here was, I looked at that random list of stuff that SMPDC came up with. And I said, well, that's fine and dandy, but do you know how many other options that we have that we're already doing and don't live all in one place? The comp plan has a few. We had met with them. They had come and told us what they thought we were supposed to do. Put that in there. We had our own charges that we went before the select board, before you were here, to get our work plan blessed. So we have things that we've been working on. And then both of these applications, the basis with the colors and everything, the basis of this document are the things that had been identified. One, in 2022, when we made a public meeting to go over this document and ask people what they want us to work on, is incorporated in there. That was public and people are looking for that. And then Jeff decided not to have a public meeting, but he identified stuff in there. They've also incorporated in there. So I don't feel like any of the things that are in here are like necessarily things that people aren't already
yeah,
knowing that we're
So
doing.
here's the part, which is install heat pumps in the buildings, municipal
Yeah,
buildings.
well, I think that you should. And if there's some semantics that, we can go over at the next meeting, because I didn't think today was the negotiation on this,
it's a
bring your
long-term
edits,
goal
but
too.
I feel like
Yeah.
the select board is also gonna get a crack at this. And that's when they'll help make this a better plan as well. Right?
And also, I
Aren't
think
they
we
gonna
need,
look
I
at
think,
this?
I think, all the plans need to, there is no bike plan yet, so, this. That's one of the reasons why we're incorporating stuff in here, because it's part of the climate action stuff. I think all the plans should cross-reference this stuff. If we just say, oh, go look at this or go look at that, somebody's gonna look at one plan and say,
Needs to
oh,
be
it's
pulled
not in this
together.
plan, so.
Yeah,
I
it has
think
to all be.
all
pulled
the
together.
stuff should be comprehensive.
Yeah.
We don't have a way of easily doing that. But it definitely needs to be done, because sometimes you just look in one place. So I don't have any objection. I mean, I certainly would not be willing to get rid of stuff just because it's probably gonna be in another plan that hasn't been written yet. So anyway, But yeah, I mean, things like install heat pumps, if we say just evaluate long-term, that probably means it's not gonna happen. I think we need to actually say, we're going to install heat pumps but it's long-term, so when it
We're-
makes sense, let's do it.
Yeah.
Not just,
Yeah.
Then add in when it makes sense.
well, but it
long.
says long-term. So,
Long-term, 5-10 years.
yeah, so I mean,
How do we know there isn't gonna be some new technology in
Well-
5 or 10 years that makes
well,
more
okay,
sense?
we'll take.
With my family, my
put in
husband's been
new
building
technology
and
heating systems.
retrofitting. Electric vehicles are so much more efficient in the way that they move energy, power. And we should have had them way back in 1900, but they got killed by the gas industry, by the oil industry. We way behind for where we could have been 100 years ago in our emissions. And we've been using electric cars for 20 years in my house. And they're clean, they use about half they cost about half the fuel to get around, even with solar electricity. And they're comfortable and they work in any kind of conditions and they have great torque. They immediately pull.
Nancy's
They
feeling
are
that
an
everywhere.
They're an improvement.
Leaving
And
rubber.
you're never gonna
I'm
get.
not saying you can't have an electric car.
No,
I'm just saying we don't wanna force
saying-
anyone on
what
electric
I'm
cars.
trying to persuade you
But we're
to
not
see is that
saying, we're not forcing, we're just saying, let's move in this direction. Why? Because.
When you say that the top title there is accelerate the switch to EVs, the
Accelerate.
implication is that we all need to switch to EVs.
I mean, are
Well,
we
we-
peeling out
Eventually,
or
we all
are we
will switch to
accelerating?
EVs.
Or are we standing
we
still?
can rewrite it.
You know,
We can rewrite it.
it's
Remove
also-
barriers for EVs.
EVs have, become a little bit of a red flag to a bull, so
Yeah.
you might wanna
Yeah.
just,
Yeah.
ease off on the EV language.
And put in what?
Alternative fuels.
Well.
You know what I'm
Yeah.
saying?
Yeah, I know what you're saying, but
What do you
it's,
say?
but it
I-
really is,
there's a-
kind of a
it's
thing
hard to-
out there
Sure,
that it
there's
will
people
turn
that hate
people off
And it's
before they even,
dangerous. It
begin to
explodes
get into it.
if there's a.
Actually,
If, I wanted to,
happens?
hello,
What
Hi.
happens in a
it just
car?
gets
See?
flame.
hey
that's all.
Nancy,
Mix of flames.
sorry.
Yo, Meg
Um,
speaking.
Sorry.
I think installing heat pump systems or VRF systems, what about install energy efficient heating and cooling systems,
Mhm,
so that
mhm.
you take away that real specific thing, which I think Mark's saying like, we'd love to, but
It may
there's
not
a
work
chance
here.
we may not use that exact thing.
Yeah.
So
That's a
if
good
you
idea.
generalize just a little bit more, you might be able to reach a little more common.
Right, I mean, on the heat pump thing, I think you can. In the short term, which is more or less immediate, you should have energy audits. You should have numbers on the table that allow you to make a plan to do what is cost effective and what makes sense. I mean, if we, so maybe those two things can be combined, but there should be some teeth to the notion that if you receive an energy audit that says that this place could be operating, on heat pumps and it would be much more efficient and more cost effective, that you should do that. So I don't think that should be left open.
Well,
I
I think
everything that we brought to this town has been cost effective. We have a track record of bringing savings to the town with the things that we've been interested in doing. We're not interested in blowing a bunch of money here. I did solar at Morningstar. We've got 500 panels on the roof and it was a big nut to crack and it was hard to convince people to do that. But the net result of that in a 25-year period is we are returning between $700 and $1 million to the company in savings in electricity. But the reason for being able to get over the hump there is because there's the numbers right there. So, if we're going to undertake an energy audit, if the numbers say to do it, then we shouldn't say, okay, well, that's optional. It's not really optional to save money, is it?
yeah, actually,
True.
the thing.
If the, like the LED light. That's a perfect example of the numbers made sense,
Right.
because there was a quick return on it.
Right.
Save a bunch of money, our lighting's costing us more. That's the kind of stuff we wanna do. What we don't wanna do is forcing us to do things that maybe aren't that way, which is why I think Meg's comment about having it more general.
Yeah.
And putting in then when the numbers work or something, as you said, that everyone could buy into.
I think what happened, what gets stuck with me is the fact that we did things like we replaced the boiler at the library without any consideration for actually alternatives. We just, put out a bid for a boiler. We didn't actually do an audit and say, or any kind of consideration as to what the alternatives would be.
Too bad.
And we just did this a few years ago. And
And
it's like,
that was before my time. so
I know, and I know, but that's the kind of thing I don't want to see it happen again. I want to see us, make sure that we evaluate the alternatives before we just replace what's there.
Oh,
because-
I agree. And if we said evaluate alternatives, I think that would pass. But if we say you have to have heat
Well,
pumps,
I
upgrade the buildings to heat pumps is what it says.
Yeah, okay, well, I think that the key thing for me is the audit. I think we need to do an audit, which will actually tell us what kinds of things can actually make economic sense.
And I think that would have universal support. I think.
And it could be an audit on the Public Works building.
I
Or-
should,
or-
all
or the-
buildings, I think
yeah,
eventually
all-
it should be all buildings.
Not, I mean, this building is relatively new. It's probably got pretty good insulation in the walls, I'm guessing.
But even
just by the
in
time-
this building,
But there's always
Improvement,
something,
right,
Yeah.
right.
always.
But the
yeah,
question.
I mean,
that's the-
we're using old air conditioning systems here.
Okay. Okay,
I guarantee you that heat pumps will function better or,
Yeah,
than they
yeah,
will.
yeah.
So,
That's
I
a good
mean,
point, good point, yeah.
um,
But I mean, there may be, we need to looking at, for the town's sake, in the worst energy wasters to start with, which is probably the Public Works Department. Because
Yeah.
they're in and out all the time, and so that building could be upgraded, and can you do it, we should do an energy audit on that building before we maybe do it here, because this one's already fairly new and had some improvements
yeah,
made.
and I agree, we should tackle the worst offenders first.
But-
Can I pipe in for a
Yeah,
second?
sure.
Sorry. I think that we've all had a really great conversation about different perspectives on this. It's been really helpful. I worry that we set this meeting aside for you guys to talk about this list potentially. Do I understand that this is what you guys wanted to do at this meeting? So I don't want us to steamroll over that and you not to have the time that you intended to use this meeting for.
I thought this negotiations next time. If you guys wanna put together like actual comments and like edits to it, I think like we could react a little bit better and go line by line. That's kind of what I thought.
I think Mark decided to sit on this meeting because he has an
Well,
interest. in this,
and I mean, this is not to steamroll the town. I think you just need to remember that we have been about cost-effective stuff, period, the end. We have not been about, you need to just, start throwing money around. So if you look at what's written up there and assume that maybe we didn't get the words right, but our intention is to do things efficiently and to save money. And you want to make a change to that and say, okay, well, how about if it looked like this?
Mhm.
Why not?
Yeah.
We got no problem with that.
Mhm.
So,
Would you like to take the time to make some of those
Sure.
word changes?
Yeah.
It'd be helpful, because.
Is this your finished product event? I didn't think it was. Or is it? I
Yeah,
don't
well,
understand.
Yeah, so
potentially.
there was a couple of like points that were. Anything yellow, there's a few like yellow boxes throughout highlighted, so those were just kind of like comments to see if the staff could either like verify or there's just a few of
I
those.
have answers for all of those.
And then, I think there might have been some grayed out lines. Throughout.
One, there's some lower down.
Yeah, so some of those might be things that are already happening. And so if it's something that's worth adding with the ongoing, I think some of them are, I don't care if they end up in there or not, but these were just things I was like, why aren't we giving ourselves credit for it? So that's what the grayed out ones were.
Great.
But basically, like, it would be ready to cut and paste. If we just, only A through D. Is, like like if you hit the other two columns. then-
Oh, okay.
So what's happening in E is that's, showing you all where everything's come from. Is all of these items that are beyond the 17 that were dealt with, before. Where they're coming from. This isn't just like us pulling stuff out of our backside saying we want this in here. This is us saying we have publicly vetted information that shows that these things belong in here. And then when we went over, so everybody had like a different like plant piece that they all evaluated to help consolidate this big list. And when looking at the,
If you want to go somewhere, just let me know. I'm just,
when looking at the sticky dot bit, we made like a cutoff that was like, if you got less than 20 votes, then you wouldn't make the list. Because we saw 6 items that ranked in the top 17 that didn't make the list. And so that's the other. point
So
of
that was the
contention
public
with that.
input from the
Workshop
last
2. So
workshop
you can
that
see
we
it says
had.
like workshop 2 ranked in the top 17, CRP renewal, that's the thing Jeff did. Anyhow, in E is all of the information.
So,
So like how many people voted on,
so workshop, when it says workshop 2 over there, that's the number of votes that approve that we should talk to the Public Utilities Commission. Which is interesting, because right now the legislature has passed, is communicating with the PUC about getting more efficiency in our systems. I mean, this is already happening. It's not necessarily,
could
but
do
it may
like
be
a
something that the
rap
town can
somehow
join.
if you
but it's-
select it.
wrapped, it's that they're like too small. I can auto do it. It got rid of all of it, which was
if you
depressing.
open it in actual Google, it like then looks perfect.
I think
So
you
I
gave
hope
me
you get
an
after you
attachment
download
of this.
it.
If you guys give me 1 second, I should be able to form the real height higher.
Yeah, it's real.
Let's try.
Actually, oh, there should be a,
Try like 40.
Do 40. Unless someone else.
Give a
has
little
others.
more room, so you could have 2 lines.
yeah,
There you
I'm using
go.
a different program.
It looks more readable.
Is this Excel? Okay, I don't know. There is an optimized row height in LibreOffice.
Yes, no, we have Word or it's Microsoft.
Microsoft.
Yeah, just tell me where you want to go and I'll expand them as we do them.
Yeah.
I was gonna wrap something and I hit enable edit and I got rid of all the work I did, so I
Oh,
was
geez.
looking through, so I'm sorry, guys, I kind of set us back. If someone was talking about a specific area, please let me know, I'll scroll down to it.
Yeah.
I didn't want to use up your meeting,
Yeah,
Well, I just think we need to react to whatever the heartburn is, next week. That's where I think we're at.
okay. And,
And I think at that point, we'll know if we're ready to go into workshop 3 or not.
okay. Do we want to, do any editing ourselves at this point, or?
Well, I think I kind of did that. for us.
Okay, okay. I just didn't know if there was more that you wanted.
Can you
I mean,
just
bring
repeat
your,
what
bring your
you-
ideas next time, but this is to them, like.
So,
Can you repeat what you just said? What are you suggesting?
so I guess actually we probably should.
We're done. We've consolidated all of our
Yeah,
stuff. You've
I
all
don't
weighed
have
in.
any
It's all in
questions.
there. I went through it, cleaned it
Okay,
up.
so we-
Cleaning it up, not meaning I took away stuff. You know,
Yeah.
I kept everybody's stuff in there. I've given the town the information that I think is pertinent to them, how many new ones, stuff's ongoing, yellow questions. Gray is, if you want it,
Gray is what?
if you want it. I mean, in the email, Scott, it
Optional.
explained everything,
Optional.
but hopefully you forward that on to Mark.
If the
with-
town can. Thinks it's
yes, I
important.
did forward it
Yeah.
on. I wasn't sure when you said gray, if you wanted us to be making that decision or if you.
Yeah, I was like, if
making
you,
the decision.
it was extra, it was more like, hey, if you're cool with like, I'm showing everybody that you're doing stuff. And if
Got
you
it.
wanna promote that, like, why not, you know?
I think Mark's gonna be happier if you don't require EV setups and new development, back up a little bit.
Only
Yeah.
because we're trying to make housing less affordable.
Yeah.
Well, see, the thing
No,
is
we're
that
not.
we looked
It
at recode. Before she started, and there
Yeah.
was a section in there
There
that
is.
we weighed in, so like, why aren't we? Like,
So why don't we
Muscat-
leave it to recode then, if it's already covered, rather than.
because
have
this
two
is
different
a
places.
climate related action. And if it's ongoing, then why not just say it, because people
But
are looking to this plan. to say,
Recode was
is the
also
town-
focusing on commercial stuff. It wasn't every single
Yeah.
new house in town has to have
I don't,
EV chargers.
well, whatever it says in recode, exactly, like, put that in there, like, I don't care, but I'm just saying, like, give yourself. Kudos for saying that we're actually tackling this, because people who are actually gonna bother reading this stuff. Actually do wanna know that we're up to something, that we're
Mhm,
doing
yep,
something about something.
yep.
They had no idea, and then other towns might be like, oh, wow, maybe I should go capture that.
I mean, the state was trying to insist that last year that all new construction have be EV ready. And that ended up getting stricken from it because there was so much pushback.
Okay,
So-
so what does that have to do with what we're,
So why,
if you're doing it in recode, then.
because I'm just
go
kind
ahead
of
and
putting
say
you,
it.
warning you, I guess, that there's a good chance that would be something that could get this voted down if we insist
Well,
all
then
new
maybe we should
construct.
do it in recode.
That's up for debate.
Recode isn't as
Okay.
broad
It's
as
not
this
done.
one. This one is saying all
I-
new
I-
construction.
Yeah,
I'm happy
if
to
it-
talk
if
to
it
you
is
about
there
those
or not,
things.
then that's cool. If it's not blessed, then that's fine. But I'm just trying to give us credit if we're doing it.
Which
So,
that one
you're
we're
not.
not to that extent. Recode's
Yeah,
focused on
it would be
commercial things.
commercial to a larger extent, but I do know that it's a sticky point for developers and it may not make the cut. I don't
Okay.
know. I don't know if anyone has any like real feelings on it, because it's bigger developments, ones that could probably incorporate it more, but we are seeing a downturn in development, so we are trying to be conscientious of that because it means less tax revenue and less housing and such, so.
Okay.
Yes, but I think you guys had questions for us, those highlight, is that what you wanna talk about for the rest of the meeting, talk about the yellow highlighted bits, or what do you wanna do?
I want you two to go back and look at this and make all the edits you would like, and then we'll talk about it on the 28th.
So. Yeah, okay.
That's the negotiation day. That's how I was told this was gonna work out.
Okay, wonderful.
Okay, do we wanna use the remainder of this meeting to discuss anything here?
I need some more direction.
Mm,
None on this. This
The
is kind of a
plan.
separate, thing,
Okay.
but I will say, this isn't uncommon, in other climate action plans, like there's back and forth between committees and staff and, so I think you're doing great. I think you're gonna get to a good place.
Good.
Cause I think probably everybody wants it
Yeah.
to move
Yeah.
forward.
And just to use a little different word, ultimately, this isn't negotiation of you and us, this is your plan. So if you decide you want to keep everything there, that's fine, I'm just trying to give you my opinion that I think it may not either get to town meeting or pass at town meeting if it goes too far in certain directions. If you want me to give you that insight with each specific thing, I'm happy to, but don't feel like you have to negotiate with me, ultimately, it's your plan and you guys can choose to put in what you want.
Well, the thing about something like this, okay, we've done a lot. This town has done a lot, people have done a lot, lots has been done. We're where we're at. We still have so much more work to do. So, the idea is that somebody's got to lay something on the table, we've got to lay language on the table. We have to make a decision about what we think might actually move the needle. If it doesn't pass, then, okay, then we go back to the drawing board, we make adjustments, but I don't think that it really necessarily makes sense for us to just say, oh, we need for this thing to pass so badly that we're just gonna axe so much stuff out of the plan. It needs to be a bold plan, it needs to have some measurable goals, and it needs to be something that's doable. That's a tall order, but I do think that we have to live a little bit dangerously here. I totally appreciate how your reaction to, something like the heat pump thing. We could easily combine those two things. As long as we're both focused in the right direction, that we're going for efficiency, we're going for cost savings, so we're going for CO2 savings. All of those things can happen in the same package, but if we don't commit to working together on that, then we're like nowhere. We're not gonna do anything. So,
And-
I
and
think
I-
that's where we're coming from.
And I think that's a message from Meg too, in the actual text of the document, that the passion here has to be preparing the town for the future with efficiency, cost savings, and site climate and warming savings, and planning for those emergencies that are gonna happen with hotter weather and bigger winds and stronger rains. And I hope we've done that in here. Hope that we've got some of that. I feel like that,
It's imperfect. It's gonna be imperfect.
that's
But,
that's
we
the
gotta
point
take
of
a
it.
stab at it.
is to better prepare the town for the future.
I think my, plea to the select board when we get there is that we followed everything we said we would do in the grant. We have provided this much outreach. We have been vetted to be on this committee for our expertise. And we've laid out the plan with the best of our ability, with our knowledge, with documented support
Yeah.
from all of these different plans that we have. So I feel I'm happy to to sell it that way. And also, this plan is a reflection of who we are and what we believe for the town. And I'd hope that they would just put it to the people to decide. You know, if their political ideologies get in this, then that's fine and we can walk away. But I'm willing to, you know, what I presented, I'm willing to go to bat for. What we had before, I was not. And if that's what the select board wanted, was those 17 things, then I'm pretty sure that we can pedal our feet around if that needs to be done. But I feel wholeheartedly that we truly went after this in the right way, with the right amount of input. And how could, I mean, how can you deny the public input? You know, this should go to the people if you believe that we did this.
Unfortunately, you guys did a great job trying to get people to come out, and you packed the room each time. That's 40 people. We've got 9,600 people live in Topsham.
Yeah, but we only have 80 that come to town meetings.
Maybe, but every now and then something catches fire. You know, we found this in the recode. We think we're making progress, we think we're almost there, and all of a sudden, an influential person reads something they didn't like, they blows up Facebook, and then we get all kinds of people coming saying, you need to change this, you need to change that. I guarantee there's some triggers in there that if the right people read it, they're
Okay.
gonna get a bunch of people organized, and it's gonna be enough to.
Can
Change
you
things.
highlight those for us so we can
Well, he's, yeah. he's-
consider it or reword it?
I've done some of them, but.
You've done some of- I haven't seen that. Okay.
EVs are gonna be, I know there's people in town who just, there's,
Like,
I mean, all you have to do is look at Facebook. and
We're
you-
a car
you'll know-
culture. We're a gas car.
You notice a couple of people in town who are on advertisement about EVs and how they were forcing everybody to get EVs.
Oh, dear.
It's total bullshit,
Oh,
but
dear.
yet, you know, it happens to be an old family here
Oh,
that
yeah.
everybody knows. And, you know,
there is
it's
a
just
gas
like,
car selling.
and I'm
business.
willing to fight with them to the, you know, to rate a town meeting because,
Yeah.
they're absolutely out
Sorry
of,
to hear that.
out of order. They do not represent the town. They
Mhm.
represent a very small minority. Maybe they 40 people in a room they represent, but they do not represent the town. And we can definitely get more people at town meeting with this plan than they can. I can guarantee you that.
Transportation is like the biggest greenhouse gas footprint in the entire town. So why is it that we don't want to try to address it?
Yeah,
We-
I know. it's
If we
ridiculous.
don't, we look like total boobs, and I want nothing to do with it, and I'll walk right
Yeah,
off
yeah,
this.
yeah. Which is also why we need to kind of educate and encourage the public that one, there is a bus right now that goes occasionally and people can use it. And it means people changing their habits and not assuming they have the right to drive with a gasoline car anywhere at any time for any purpose. I mean, we need to provide alternatives. If there are alternatives, people will, and they're well funded, people pay for them themselves, and they're well advertised and they're visible, people will start using them. If we can change the culture towards, let's walk, let's have those trails that 90 people made the choice that we want more trails and we want to maintain. the
And I
trails
think
we've
that's
got.
something that you could get broad-based support on, is the trail stuff. I think
There's a
people
lot-
keep wanting more
And I
recreation.
mean, that
There's
also
a
means
line there.
sidewalks. It means to
There's
get
a
trails
line
to
there.
get me from my house to the shopping center without being hit by a car, you know, or on my bicycle.
No, I think we agree on it. I think
Yeah,
there's broad-based support for more sidewalks. So
good,
it's, I mean, right now we're trying to add one to Tedford Road. So that's
Wonderful.
another
wonderful.
thing we're working on.
Because that's
But
a
you know what?
developing area.
If it blows up at town meeting, then we'll go back to the drawing board. I mean, it's not like, you know, the world is gonna end on that day.
Yeah.
We still have
you
one
know,
on record.
Right.
Yeah.
So, you know, this whole thing, I mean, yeah, okay, there's different camps and people have strong feelings, you know, one way or the other. That might be a catalyst for getting people to actually talk to each other. Because, you know, I mean, I'm friends with some of the people that radically disagree with me about stuff that I do or stuff that I think and stuff. But I mean, you know, you gotta make friends, so
Right. I shouldn't let that
we
go.
got time.
Okay.
Blah,
so
blah,
that's-
blah.
So
What do you
Uh,
think, Meg?
I think, well, you guys are doing great, you know, I think what you've done here is really great, and that's, kudos on all this. I think Jackie's comments, I would like more clear direction, because I think some of them,
Is that something she sent today?
Yeah,
no,
yeah, she sent
I
an
haven't
Well,
looked at whatever.
she sent on the,
email,
actions, right?
yeah.
Yeah, so
she-
that's, that's
Okay,
a separate thing.
That's a separate thing, okay.
Yeah, it
Because I don't
was
understand.
on the
Long
17th.
list of
Yeah,
texts.
and I think, you know, some of it is
I-
very subjective, but so I don't wanna.
Yeah, I don't understand. some of her
You guys
comments.
tell me which ones you want me to do out of these. But I think everything else I can incorporate, or if I need more information, I will. And, about this,
Do you want us to?
Jackie's come very
want us
late
to
in
weigh
this
in on this
process.
then, while we're
Sure,
here?
okay.
That's-
Yeah.
all right, general comment, too much white space, huge waste of paper, and makes document longer than it needs to be. Sections, titles don't need to be on separate pages, please condense.
Cancel that. You have the experience writing these documents. She's new to this process. She's come in very late. I don't agree with that.
That seems
I would
minor.
take your lead on
I
that.
wouldn't.
Yeah.
I wouldn't waste a lot of time
All
on
right,
that.
Jackie's gonna do it.
page 4, there are much better definitions of cap. Don't head with questions here, because you don't do that throughout the document. Start with a statement, a climate action plan is, and list what it should include. Instead of what are the benefits, perhaps say there are important benefits to having a cap, then list those bullet points.
What is she recommending you replace that?
She doesn't like the, in the beginning. And as a way to be, begin with a tone.
Yeah.
Ask the questions, and that's how we did it, kind of at the public meeting too.
Yeah.
So
I can pull up the draft on here if someone tells me who the last person that emailed it is, and I'll just pull it up through that. I just don't know where it is either. Otherwise, if you guys would like to look at it on the big screen or not.
Oh,
Oh,
If that's not helpful, ignore me and
Yeah,
keep
probably
going.
not.
Copy.
Okay.
But
yeah,
I guess the question is, did anybody have an issue with the kind of the introduction? The way it was introduced?
no.
I'm easy, I didn't.
Yeah. I do.
Can I look on your shoulder? Because I don't have it.
oh, maybe, okay,
I think, the
So,
only thing on the
let's go back. to the
introduction and background, that added, this plan, calls for the town.
It's a long document.
2020.
There.
Reduction in back.
Goals.
Yeah.
Right, did you see the edit? This isn't Jackie's edit. We're just talking about hers.
just
right now,
hers.
right?
Yeah, whatever anybody edits into the document,
It's in there.
we will accept
Okay,
it.
all right.
Okay.
Page 5, not sure, I agree with the second sentence, planning process involved community engagement, but does the plan itself do that? I think it's semantics things that I can fix.
Is this
Page
page
7,
Oh,
actually.
yeah, I think I agree with her on that, because
Yeah.
it seemed like an inanimate person.
Yeah, no worries.
Inanimate object.
Page 7. Actually, yeah, you can maybe just look on for that. Unnecessary, except for quotes, the key info is on page 8.
She doesn't want the quotes?
No, she said the quotes were okay, but the stuff, I guess there's one paragraph, and she said that was irrelevant or not needed.
Which one?
This is
Thank
page
you.
7, unnecessary, except for quotes, the key info is in page 8.
Yeah, that's just engaging
I
with
think-
residents.
It might have been are you looking at mine?
Yeah,
I feel like I made a little bit more of. Keep going that way. I think I made a little bit more to add, like, hey, we did all
Sounds like a
these
side
engagement
page.
sessions. That might have been where I mentioned.
Yeah, it doesn't seem like that's. I wish Jackie were here, because I would want some clarification on some of
Okay,
this
so
stuff.
collaboration is essential in climate action planning. The people who
That's-
live and work
that's
in
all right.
Topsham have
Yeah.
the
I'll look at
deepest
whatever you're looking at.
understanding of town. You asked for your experiences, yeah. And perspectives and priorities through an online survey, tabling events and this, what, she doesn't like that?
These are comments from the initial draft, the V1.
Okay.
Yeah,
But she didn't.
Are we still on
I
this
don't-
page?
Yeah, we're still
I-
talking about this paragraph.
I think it personalizes it for people. It
Yeah.
probably makes it more relevant.
I think,
more
yeah, we
interesting.
needed to explain that we've been out there.
Maybe she doesn't like it
Collaborate.
because she's in the picture.
Say
Page
that.
9, if you want a couple of quotes, they could go here and remove a couple of photos.
Oh, I don't know.
That's a good idea.
We're splitting hairs.
Yeah, I think actually, if you look at a lot of plans, I've looked at a number, not necessarily climate action plans, but just plans in general. The community involvement usually has pictures of people doing stuff. So it kind of like
Generous
makes it
of
real to
Yeah.
people who weren't here at the
Yeah.
time or,
Yeah.
you know, whatever. So I think that's fine.
It's good.
Page 11, my instinct
Yes,
says
yeah,
that past tense should be used. These things were done. Also, those cute little icons mean nothing on this page. They can go in the appendix with the infrastructure document.
Which
Well,
page?
I think the
Page
cute little
11.
icons
Oh, no.
help orient.
This, yeah.
I
Oh,
really
these
like
things,
the icon.
these
That I
things.
think explains things pretty well.
Oh,
Yeah, I think
yeah.
pictures are good.
I think it's
People
always
get
good to have a
images.
few different ways to see
Yeah,
things, because
yeah,
some people
yeah,
are
peop-
good at seeing things like
peop-
this.
A lot of people
Good at
don't read everything.
reading
They-
words.
Yeah, they don't read as much as
Can you,
some of us.
it probably doesn't make, you probably can't make it any bigger, but just because some of the text looks a little bit small next to the.
To the icons in there?
Yeah, but I don't know if it would make everything pretty weird if you actually brought it all the way out, but I just keep it.
Yeah, if you can make the labels bigger, I don't know if
No,
that's.
you can't, that's a, you know, that's.
It's part of
just
the picture.
an
Yeah.
Yeah, okay, in that case.
But
I'll
if
break-
they could bring the image out more, but you probably have like a certain border that you're trying to
Those,
maintain.
I
that
think it's at the
uniformity.
margins. I was watching him
Yeah.
do that one. I mean,
Okay,
it wouldn't be very much.
The pictures get people thinking about the scope of what this is supposed to cover.
yeah, I just think about people with eyes like mine.
Oh, you can't read it.
I can't read it with my glasses on, but you know,
Oh.
it's just, you know, I'm on the margin,
I
so
could
I mean,
read it.
people who are worse.
Just fine.
Do you
Yeah.
read this li- You're getting towards that?
Pages
That-
12 through 18, this
Perfect.
info is in the accompanying documents. What is said here could definitely be tightened up. One example, third paragraph, page 18, eliminate all but the last sentence.
Page 18?
It seems, I mean, the way it's sort of structured is like, well, what's happening in Topsom for climate change? You have to have some things about it.
Actually, I think the history here is important.
I
think
also
so, too.
specifically requested that section be clarified because in an earlier one, it made it sound like that historical fire had only burned in Topsom, and I think I asked for clarification there.
Yeah, actually,
I didn't even know.
200,000
Yeah.
acres.
Yeah.
And it seems like it had only happened
Acadia,
in like Topsom,
no, it
and then I
happened in
finally
Acadia.
realized it was
Well, it
out
happened
here
in
and like a
York
little
and-
bit burned here, so I think that that's important because I was confused earlier on.
Yeah, it was.
Did you guys learn about this?
There's an article in the paper today.
Yeah, Yeah.
Yeah, but that was before.
What do you mean?
I think I had to Google it a bit or something like.
About
something-
wildfires in Topsom.
Something, I was like really confused by it, or maybe I read something else. I just remember specifically
was a
requesting
problem
edits.
in-
in
I've heard
relation to
about
it.
wildfires.
Well, just even knowing that we had such a big one is just like.
Yeah,
super
it's
random.
usually-
Much of
I know
Acadia.
the boat dam burned down. I've heard that like a million times, but
Yeah.
I've not heard about this fire.
Yeah, no, it was statewide. was-
Page
Vicksburg,
16, a better
Acadia.
photo would be a farm field.
What was that?
On page 16, a better photo would be a farm field.
Is this the
Farm field,
decrepit?
Oh, yeah.
but
you
you've
know,
got farm field
There's
and.
farm-
lot.
Good
Well, I mean, it's a
tomato.
drought, right. I just
That's
making
great.
sure it was a tomato, cause I have it on 17, but
zero tomato.
you
Oh,
know.
well, see.
Oh, is
17,
that what she's talking about?
I
Is-
don't see the value of this particular photo on 17 and on 16.
I think
better
it's the-
photo would be a
It's the drone photo on 16 she's taking issue with.
Oh,
Oh, this.
I think that's great.
Yeah, it's one of
Because
Derek's.
It's got water, it's got the fields, and it's got the forest.
got the river.
I don't know. I feel like this is busy
Is
work.
it, there's
Yeah.
the river.
Yeah.
Well,
What'd she say?
you
She
know,
didn't like it?
Okay.
It's just busy work. I mean, we've given you so many edits. Like.
Yeah. Yeah.
I need direction from y'all, so, you know, don't I
Sorry,
just
Jackie, you
do.
should have been here tonight.
Yeah.
Exactly. So we
All right,
covered.
there's
both-
some that I'm pretty sure I can handle.
Okay, great, great.
Um,
great.
Well, I mean, I think we're telling you that this is important.
All right,
A little.
let me see if the, okay, let's see.
It's not
Any more
important.
controversial one?
No, no.
I don't think so.
Yeah.
Okay, so if, on the surveys, this, you know, we're gonna expand the survey section.
Okay,
We can kind of see how those graphs are gonna go, but would
I-
it be an issue to put them in you know, a more complete, or a lengthier document as an
Attached.
appendix?
yeah, that sounds fine, and I did those graphs for our use, not necessarily for the plan.
Oh,
So if
okay.
you want them in charts or some other format that makes sense, that's
No,
more consistent.
I thought you guys wanted more of the charts in the survey.
Yes, I think that would be helpful, yeah, because I think we want to, I mean, we did this, it's
Yeah.
part of the
Yeah.
plan process, I
Yeah.
think we should definitely highlight those
Yes.
results, and I picked out the ones,
Yeah, I was just gonna say, is there maybe like a couple you guys want in the plan, Victor could make those ones a little bit better, and then you could put the rest of them in an appendix to
You've
be
got the same
attached, so
thing
we
to
have
do.
all the data. Does that make sense for you, Meg? Does that?
Yeah.
What you're getting at?
And it would be great if
here it is.
that could come from the committee,
Yep.
the
Yeah.
narrative and the
Yeah,
document
I
for
think that
too.
if something else needs to
So
be
they're
added at
all,
this
I
point, it
just
would
did them
need
all
to
the
come from
same
the
as
committee
work
for that.
charts, and,
These are from the survey.
Did everybody hear that?
Yeah, oh, okay.
yeah,
Yeah,
and actually, I couldn't
Are
get
you,
this stuff.
so is it that we need to make an
I couldn't get this
appendix?
stuff from Survey Monkey
If
anymore.
You know, I would say just a summary.
It's limited me to 25 results.
Yeah, I think
Two.
that the year went by, we should have had downloads, I'll check around.
Okay, well, I have the downloads of the actual raw data. I
Yeah.
had to recreate the graphs because.
Oh.
Yeah,
Survey Monkey
yeah,
did
no, I mean,
it.
it was gonna be another $500,
Oh, okay.
so,
Okay.
Here.
yeah.
Okay.
it-
That's okay.
so- Sorry, I
did
didn't
it
know that
now.
this was gonna
Oh,
happen,
thank
or
you
else I would have.
for all that work.
I didn't, yeah, I
Yeah.
did it now, so it's
So-
not a big deal. but-
So I have an action item. Can you summarize what you would like to put in the back of the document? Can you do a summary of whatever information on the, you know, community outreach that
Yeah,
you want to include for more information, and then, you know, give me which, graphs, and I'll put words around it, but if you tell me which ones you want, they're
Okay.
fine.
okay, yeah. So, a summary of. Guess
Of the survey?
of the survey, it's like the process maybe, or just, I'm not quite sure what the.
I just wanted some of the graphs in
Oh,
there.
so maybe we
I
don't
mean, if you
need
just
that.
wanna,
Yeah,
Okay.
what section?
cause there's just like so many wordy questions and I don't really feel like.
Where I lost my-
People don't need to see all that.
I don't think they do. I mean, I think a couple is plenty. You know,
Yeah.
you did
I
a
think that's
survey,
fine.
you got,
Just
here's
start
the
with
most
couple.
interesting information, and then they get off it because nobody's really gonna
Yeah,
read it.
yeah, well, that was gonna, yeah, what section?
Probably the.
Do you know what
um,
page you talked about the survey already on? I've lost
Which
it.
page, can you go Google survey? Flood control,
Sorry, I just. I don't know if
We
you
should,
get
we
a
should
sense
look at
of
it.
right in survey.
It's somewhere in the community. Public workshop,
That would.
oh, community
be-
survey, I found it, conducting
Okay.
surveys, yeah.
So what do we need to add more in here?
Yeah, it's,
oh, there's the.
and so I think what you'll do is
Do you
probably,
wanna, do we wanna look at those graphs right now and decide which ones?
sure,
Did we send those to you, Sky? The graphs that Victor made?
I'm not
I
sure
think it
though,
might have been the
I will
email
know.
before.
Okay, I can look for them. I don't know if I
I-
did. I was just gonna say that if you're not asking for new words to be done, Josh can just move things around and put more graphics in when he does the next edit.
There's more text for sure. on
Okay,
it.
great. Sorry, was someone asking me to try to pull the graphs up on the screen?
yeah, I don't know if you can.
Was
it's
I
an
CC'd
Excel-
on the email?
I don't remember.
Or do you wanna join the Zoom, Victor? You can do that too.
I guess I could,
Whatever. suits.
let's see,
I don't remember actually seeing these graphs and it's not like. Begin with the
Sorry,
weekend.
we had so many.
No, it's okay. We told you guys to do your thing. I don't know if I have them. I don't wanna.
Let's see,
You know, aren't they they're in the Google Doc?
maybe,
Yeah, they are. They're in,
oh, they're in the Google Drive?
Google Drive.
Yeah, okay, yeah, I may have uploaded it to the Google Drive, yes.
Yeah.
I probably did,
What are they under in that?
okay, so,
It's under CAB. Climate Action Report,
Oh, yeah, survey.
and it
And
is
surveys.
under results graph, survey
yeah.
results with graphs, and it's on the second tab.
and it's, yes, it's the graphs, yeah.
Perfect.
Yeah,
All
oh,
right.
good, they came through.
Yeah, they did finish, yeah, they're good.
Yeah.
So, yeah. So that was like the first, these are the first two, maybe three questions roughly. And I think the main point here is just that there were a significant number of people who were interested in addressing these impacts. So maybe the second graph is the most
Yeah,
important.
I think it is. I think it is.
So,
Exactly.
I have that, I have do you rather, I have that as a pie chart.
Oh,
Would
is
you
that the
rather-
same one?
Yeah.
Oh,
Oh, wait a second. I thought it was a different, I thought it was the first one.
so I think maybe.
Oh, yeah, no, you did. I'm sorry. Okay, yeah, so that's fine. I thought you had the first one. And
Maybe
then,
we should make an appendix with all these.
and then I think the last three are kind of,
Well,
Oops,
if you
sorry,
put,
sorry.
if you put in the one about the Topsham goal should be the same as the state, you gotta say what the state goal is. So people, it would make sense to people.
yes, I will.
I wrote all of that stuff up in my edit.
Oh,
Oh,
okay,
good.
I
Okay.
spelled out
Good.
exactly what it was.
okay,
So we
okay.
could put that graph in there. Maybe
There's
some,
not a lot, you
I-
could, there's then, you know, how are you supporting that, like, through the rest of the. Through your actions, are you tying the actions?
yeah, then I said it again, I think towards the end. I've said it twice in there. If you search like 80%, you'll find,
I think it.
Yeah.
So that,
Issues you've
I don't wanna-
experienced.
Okay, yeah,
I think that's,
well, yeah,
that was it. What do you think is important?
I think the last, at least the next two kinds of climate issues you've experienced and climate impacts, you would like our plan to prioritize.
Ah.
I think we're
Mhm,
asking.
mhm, yes, those are important. Yeah, I'd like to look at that one actually. Things I'd like us to prioritize. Right.
You know, it's part of the approach to the town meeting. Vote does rock.
okay, so do we have another graph to put in, or should we just make an appendix? Besides that one,
I could make we can make an appendix with the, so we're gonna do the one that's already there, which is how important is it for Topsham to address? And then, our setting our
the
goal,
goal.
and then I could put the next three in an appendix.
Yeah, we could just put, what, should we have all of the graphs?
Put it
in
all
here?
in an appendix. And,
Yeah.
Put the ones in the plan.
Plan.
Just a smattering of it.
Okay.
And they can look at.
Okay.
the
Well,
appendix
all
and
of
see the
them.
whole thing.
All, yeah, okay,
Okay.
we can work on that.
How do you-
Okay,
I
that's
guess,
great.
is Josh doing the actual formatting?
Yeah,
How would he best? I
You
can-
know, I'm not sure. Why don't you just email him and ask him? He's
Okay,
using
yeah.
InDesign, but you guys talk. so
Oh,
maybe-
it's using it as,
Yeah.
I'll give him, never mind, I know what you're saying.
Great, I don't.
You guys can-
and the last thing, is, so if there,
Thank you. Let me figure out
I'm
what you-
hearing that the people are interested in the, you know, you skipped right to the actions. And I guess I would say I would not put those up front, like to, you know, be opening with a spreadsheet with so many actions, you know, kind of off the bat.
You're talking about
Yeah.
the little thing I wrote.
No, I'm talking about, like you had mentioned, I thought you were sort of saying, or toying with the idea of like, let's change the
Oh,
order.
no,
of
no,
things.
no,
Oh,
I'm
okay.
just saying that, you know. I read from the back page to the front.
Okay.
and This person
Yeah.
reads from the front to the back,
Yeah.
this one likes the middle.
Right,
I'm saying a lot of people just say, oh, blah, blah, blah,
Yeah,
blah, blah, I wanna
okay.
know what we're gonna do, so. Well, they're gonna eventually read everything else, but, you know, I wanna know what the punchline is, and then I'll read the joke.
okay,
But I think the order, I think.
Keep the order the same,
Nick is still saying, let's keep the order the same,
Okay.
it's just, you know,
I'm just talking about human nature.
yeah, yeah.
okay.
And, you know, as long as, I guess in the
No,
final
I'm
document,
I'm not. You listen to my
I read them online, so I
Yeah,
would love it if I think it may still, this may be true, I'm not sure. but I'd love the index to actually be linked
Linked.
to
yeah,
the
that'd be
actual,
nice.
Oh, I think he's definitely planning.
Yeah.
okay, yeah, it doesn't work on the,
Doing, yeah,
yeah, it doesn't work on the Google Drive and that, you know, whatever, so.
okay.
But that would be crucial to me. I want to be able to, not only do I want to skip to the end, but I want to
wanna
be able to
link
just
there.
click,
Right.
click on one spot and get there.
So in terms of a schedule.
Especially if you're reading it on a phone.
I think it mostly depends, it might really depend on Josh, like, you know, I can put time into it, not this week, but next week.
Yep, when would you be needing him to do edits?
Well, this schedule says we need to have, the last time we talked, we said that the finished climate action plan report needs to be to the select board on the 28th
Oh,
February.
February.
If
That-
they make the first March meeting.
yeah, right, because of the 10-day
Yeah.
period in advance of the agenda.
And you guys wanna have a look at it before it goes again, right?
Yeah, I think that's, I mean.
Yeah.
I think it's gonna be a minor, at that, hopefully at that point, it'll just be minor.
Okay. So, there's,
Yeah, the Wednesday before the select board meeting. 26th of February, yeah.
that, between now and the 28th is 1, 2, 3, 1, sorry.
6, you said?
26th, the Wednesday
26th.
before a select board
About
meeting.
5 weeks. So Sky, if he could. You know, I can work on it. Till Wednesday. And then if he could have it, if he could start on a Thursday, the
Sorry, what's the
6th.
date? The 6th, he has planning board on February the 13th.
Oh, I'm sorry, it's Thursday, the 30th.
Okay. Thursday, the 30th is probably fine. His planning board on February 13th, so he'll probably be pretty busy on the 6th and 7th. He usually finalizes memos and gets everything done then. Let me look at the 30th. Yeah, he should be fine to do some work on the 30th, I think.
It's probably gonna take him, I mean, it probably is gonna take him a while.
Yeah, I know, I hear you. So I'm saying like I think he's fine on the 30th. He'll have to do some planning board stuff the next week. I don't speak for him exactly. I'm looking at our shared, calendar that I have an idea when he has meetings and stuff. If you can get it to him by the 30th, he doesn't have anything big due that Friday, so I think he can start working on it. I'm not saying he'll be done on it that day.
Yeah.
He might need to take a break next week to do planning board stuff. That's obviously his main thing. Is there a date that he needs to be done with it by?
Well, I would say the 7th.
Okay, yeah, I can talk to him about that and we shall see. So far, I don't think he has anything huge on that planning board, but I know the Thursday, Friday before planning boards can oftentimes be busy for him, so.
Okay, and then if we sent it out, and then got it back from you guys by the 14th.
To the committee. you mean?
Yeah. Then any other changes could be done that week, and that gives us a week of float. In case something.
In case something goes wrong, yeah.
Okay, and then in terms of that seems good, and in terms of the workshop. I think, we're sharing the list of actions, so that's mostly the focus on it. So I think that's kind of TBD on that.
Okay.
Okay, so let me know. Awesome.
So what we're gonna do with the public it's February 4th.
Yeah.
We're getting together, is go over the actions the priority actions. and
Yeah, it's too many, to be going over.
so pick out the ones that are most important, the priority ones.
Yeah,
and
you
talk
guys
about
do
it.
that.
And what?
And
what-
I'm thinking, that really. You guys should be, I'll introduce,
Yeah.
I'll tee it up, and then I'll turn it over to you guys to lead the discussion.
Okay, that sounds
Sound
fine.
good?
I think what we can do is highlight the ones that are new or not, we can. I don't know, maybe we should organize it differently, but just for this, but say, here's the stuff that's already happening or happened. And we continue to do it, and here's the new stuff, and just sort of highlight those. Kind of focus people a little bit on that, and then,
Yeah, what stayed the same and what's different
yeah,
Okay.
from the current climate action plan?
yeah.
I mean, I'm picturing us consolidating some of this list,
Yes.
especially if you, can give us some feedback on, you've given us some, but, if you have any more feedback, it'll help us. I mean, some of that is like, oh, okay, I can see your point. Consolidate
Yeah.
some of the things into, actionable but workable. You can smooth it a little bit.
Mark, are there other infrastructure things that the town has done other than the underground work on the waterway at the end of the Tedford Road and the thing at the bottom of the main hill here, just before the bridge that you did before? What other things should we know about? Or can you give us a brief summary of that so we can
Sure,
highlight it? for the
we've
public?
done a culvert on Meadow Cross Road the past couple of years that was enlarged to deal with increasing
That's
water flow.
Good, yeah,
This past year, we did another one out there, maybe one was Meadow Cross, but it's
Meadow.
Yeah.
that general area, we
That
did two
over-
culverts.
yeah.
yeah.
Yeah,
We did, as you mentioned, the one down on Winter Street,
Yeah,
a couple of years
what
ago,
was that? That was an expansion of the tank or
the
the
culvert.
the
yeah.
culvert itself?
Yeah,
expand-
pretty much, it's mostly been culvert.
Culvert larger
Um,
culverts. Okay.
We've done the one on Elm Street by, the entrance to the Highlands. So not Highland Green, but the old
That's
first
right.
Highlands, and that was a deep one, and that was that one was in danger of the road going out because of this high water wasn't getting underneath.
Yeah,
River Road.
And
River Road was done maybe before you.
that's probably before me,
Yeah.
I can ask Dennis, but yeah.
Yeah, we redid the culvert that from the Topsham Fairmall stream. Goes in, as it goes into the Androscoggin there and crosses River Road. That was a disastrous culvert. It was huge hanging culvert. It didn't allow any fish passage at all.
so it's much better now, fishing can
Yes,
get.
yeah, it's much better.
Thank you I didn't know that.
And then currently, we're trying to get the one in Tedford Road done, bids come back on the 30th for that one, and we're hoping
Twice the price. of
less
it.
than Wright Pierce was estimating.
So that's what it is. You're putting in a larger culvert there to connect.
It larger,
And
and the other issue that's made a lot more expensive is the ground's not stable there. It's very organic. So they have to use a special, what they call lightweight fill, which is, I guess, glass with some type of a plastic byproduct that's on it. Because regular dirt, they think is too heavy and will sink in and the road won't be stable. So that's what's,
amazing.
and they only have the lightweight fill that we need in Vermont and Massachusetts, so it has to be trucked in.
It's just
We can't use
sophisticated.
fresh glass from the transfer station.
I wish, yeah, it'd be nice.
They
Good
save
use
it.
of the glass.
They
yeah.
save it
Source.
separately.
Yeah. Maybe it's the plastic that goes with it.
Yeah,
which-
yeah,
Hopefully there's no PFAS in it.
I'm just
but it's-
joking. I'm just joking, but yeah.
Wow.
Seems like.
Okay, thank you.
We
for
have
that.
this
That's a long
resource.
list.
But
That
what,
we- that we
but
should-
back to the bike pedestrian thing, one of the things that we've held firm on and Wright Pierce has done and the neighbors willing to work with us on. Is we're widening it, we're adding 6 feet to it so that we're gonna have a sidewalk in there now. And the neighbor
At
that,
Tedford,
at
I
Tedford,
think that'll go from the gas station up the road.
right now, the sidewalk is just part of the culvert project, but then we've got. On this too, Wright Pierce blew us away unfortunately, but it's 2 to 3 million to do the sidewalks in Tedford because we have to do the drainage at the same time. But that's on the drawing board, that's next, but the culvert we gotta do first because the water issues that people's wells are getting flooded when it backs up and stuff. And it's like,
2 million to do a sidewalk where?
on Tedford,
All the way up.
Because of
to
the
new
fact that-
development.
and needs drainage put in at the same time, we're basically rebuilding the road.
The road is
I
really,
wondered.
the road is really old.
Okay, and it's getting a lot of development use, so it's gonna be used more.
Because we've got the new affordable housing and we've got the neighborhood that's there,
Yes,
and
yes, yes.
eventually, I think it's gonna be the way to get, there'll be a way to get to the high school there. You know, because now the
Yeah,
upper part
yeah.
of Can-Am is ours.
That's right.
So, and the rail trail, if it goes through, intersects with Tedford. And then if we can convince the fairgrounds to work with us to put the community center on our piece of land we have next to the rail trail, there's all kinds of interconnectivity things that make sense to have sidewalks on Tedford.
Yeah.
As much as I love sidewalks, which you know is so much,
We need
fight
to,
about it
we need
sometimes.
to wrap up.
No, I actually have a couple questions before we do. I wrote down I tried to give answers for you guys for all the yellow ones, and a couple of them are questions, so I just wanted to go over them really quickly.
Okay.
I can give you the answers to them because it's gonna go really quickly. So for line 13, town does not currently have a remote work option. So we wouldn't be able to note that since we don't have one.
All right, then just go ahead and remove that.
This is just like my version, so I'm just giving you these notes verbally right now. The complete streets policy, that is with public safety, not the planning department.
Safety.
This one. You just have planning
Should be public safety.
and planning
Of
department,
course.
so it's public safety is the bike ped. Staff liaison, and I've assisted with it a
I
little
just
bit.
assume that once you actually have, so complete streets would be implemented by,
Oh, we DPW and public safety, it's not my project.
ECW.
No, this is just a policy. This, I think you're right. I think it's bike ped committee. That's exactly what their grant's about.
Yeah, it's bike ped is with public safety.
Oh,
So
I
I'm
see.
just letting you know, you just would wanna
Oh,
change that.
the
It's nothing
P.
big, it's just
I
that,
would ask you guys to go ahead and change.
so I'm just
I
gonna give
don't
you this
know.
verbally
I-
at this point, so
Yeah.
that's what I'm gonna do. I don't understand this question here. I don't know what you mean wordsmith.
This was just me going, is this in recode?
I
I don't
see.
know exactly what's
Yes,
in
we did talk
recode,
about this one
so
earlier.
you can
Yeah.
remove it.
Yes. That one I didn't have any comments on, 50. Mark, you can correct me if I'm wrong, but my understanding is that we aren't able to really move forward with this one due to inadequate locations.
Oh, we're not doing the boat launch?
No, we need the
Oh. okay,
water,
Then,
the sewer district wants to keep their land. They would have had to give us. a
oh, I had
chunk
no
of it,
idea.
So we're not
That's
gonna add a
me.
boat launch.
but We don't have the right land there.
Oh.
Yeah.
Is there like any,
Is there any?
Is this,
one maybe coming up?
We don't have, unless there's a
There's no
parcel,
other
but
place.
unfortunately, and even that one's not a great one, because it would have had to have dredging, which would have been really expensive. And probably got a bunch of dioxin from years ago that's in the river.
Yeah.
I think we usually do SWF for solid waste facility. You just said it needs an acronym. I wanted to note that.
have you talked to Ed about that?
Is that not
About-
usually their acronym?
No, I
Well,
don't think
you didn't
that,
have
that
one
was
in
her
the comp
question,
plan,
is whether,
so-
Okay.
we'll give a comment on that, but I think that too, an option, you know, because he already
Oh, yeah, I'm
puts
not
that out for
commenting
people
on
to
this.
take.
It's,
but
given
yeah.
but what it would be, I used to run the transfer station in Phippsburg, and you need a trailer, you need a covered area if you're really gonna get things quality, like
Exactly,
books.
and right now we
things
don't
that-
have the space, but it
Well-
doesn't, so again,
Let's
we
just-
don't want a
let's just get
must,
through-
it's more.
Let's just get through these questions.
Yeah, okay.
I don't really have one for that. I think it's mostly the county that does it. Yes, we do national flood insurance, like Mark
Oh,
said.
wait, what was
everyone-
the first one?
I don't really have a lot about this one. I think the county does this.
The county does.
Yeah.
Yeah, but if we're doing it, then we could keep it.
No, the county, for the EMA directors plan for the
Yeah.
whole county.
Yeah, but don't they give you a report and you have to update it?
Yeah, we work with, and the fire chief works with them.
Yeah, so, but I mean, you're constantly, ongoing.
Yeah, that's why I said I don't have a lot to say about it. It's not a planning really, planning
Yeah.
doesn't work on that one. National flood insurance, yes, we do that. I think.
Then we could keep
Yeah,
that
I
one.
don't know where, somewhere it doesn't. It's not
Are we-
explicitly noted in recode on this one. That's just my comment on that. You said recode question mark. I don't know it being in there.
Okay.
They don't have a peer-to-peer program. There's emergency numbers, but that's it that I know of. My question is about this one. How is this different than what we hired FB to do?
Oh, what?
71.
Oh,
That was
Yeah,
part of
maybe
this
that-
grant, was they were supposed to have done.
Yeah, I was
Yeah.
just thinking FB did this, so I just, if they didn't do something and you wanna keep it, you should just probably rewrite that.
the thing that's
different, because this is one of the actions, and then there's another action, I don't know if it's in the same thing or further down, where it's vulnerable assessment and climate action plan, and that's the one that you guys did. This one is like, you know, looking at the location, age, design, condition, and you know, that.
And so I'm not necessarily saying like, I'm just saying if it's
Yeah, so
different
it's
than
not
that,
what
it should be probably clarified. So that it's clear, because if this is the options we're putting out for people, I just think if there's a vulnerability assessment included with the plan, and then there's an action saying doing a vulnerability assessment, I understand these are the main weight ones, you just may want to clarify how it's different, like, we did this one, we want to do more. So that's my only comment on this one, that's basically my only writing comment in here. I don't really have comments on yes, we have a capital investment plan.
Do we have one?
Yeah,
I would think so.
We applied for a Stream Smart grant for Tedford Road, and we did not get it, so yes, we do go for them, we just don't always get them. And I don't understand what you mean by electronic kiosk here.
Oh, like the sign,
Oh, okay,
signboard. yeah.
I see.
you know,
yes.
if it's a stretch, I'm just trying to like show that we're doing stuff.
Yep, I see this one's great, I genuinely didn't know what that was, so I wanted to ask, and I think those are my only comments and questions.
On the, what was it? Uh. Oh, the capital investment plan. Is there any place where the public in general can access that?
I believe it's in the budget book when we put it out in the spring and stuff. So it's a page in a spreadsheet that Derek did that we socialize with the department heads, and so then we update it as we go through their budget meetings.
Yeah, but is there any way for like the general public to access that at any point? I'm just thinking of, you know, that, like how often you do, you know, roads and that kind of stuff, so the general.
Yeah, I think the specific roads, how often we do, it's something Dennis does in-house, based on what their condition is. So Dennis knows, he looks at them and says, oh, it looks like whatever road's getting bad, I'm gonna do that in 2 years from now, or whatever it is. But that isn't anything that we have written down here, it's more Dennis's professional judgment.
Interesting. People ask me all the time. You know,
Generally, he plans about 20 years per road, you know.
Yes.
Unless the higher traffic ones get more, obviously.
Yeah, yeah.
But like a neighborhood street is about 20 years.
Yeah, that sounds about right. I mean, I mean, even if it's got a few bumps, it's not a big deal. There's not that many people traveling.
All right, folks, onward and upward.